Captain Barton told me he's been trying to trace your children.
Oh. I didn't want to get him into any strife, Mrs. Davidson.
You haven't. Captain Barton thought you'd like to know what he's found out.
You mean you found out something about my kids?
Well, I went to the home where they put your children, and from their records and what they can remember, your two sons were fostered out relatively early. Now, it could take quite some time to trace them through Jigsaw and other organizations, and a lot depends on whether they wish to be contacted. However, we did have a little more luck with your daughter, Marcia. She left the home when she was 16, and kept in touch for some 8 years or so after that. And the last they heard of her, she said she was marrying someone in Melbourne. That was some 20 years ago. So I took the liberty of advertising, and I got a reply. A woman who says she is, or was, Marcia Birdsworth has answered the ad.
Let's just say I think you should reconsider for your own sake.
You can't tell me what to do with things like that. I'll go and tell Mrs. Davidson.
Can I give you a hand there, Miss Bennett?
Oh, thank you. I didn't realize Vincent had managed to accumulate so much.
Right. Got it.
What do I want?
Nothing.
Well, it wasn't good news by the look of it. All right, if you're going to talk to us, I'm going to twist your arm.
Thought any more about getting rid of that Gilmore? I reckon she should be boiled in oil for getting rid of Ken the way she did.
Shut up, Lizzie. I don't want to talk about it.
Just trying to take your mind off it, that's all.
Back to your cells.
Why?
Shut up and snap to it. Oh, what's the matter? Someone go over the wall? You don't move this instant. Oh, all right, all right.
But why? Oh, why ask? Probably something dreadful like Vinegar lost a hairpin. We're all going to be locked up until she's found it.
Come in.
Gilmore's dead.
What?
Well, she appears to have fallen down the stairs.
Well, who found her?
Miss Bennett and I were just returning from H Block when discovered the body lying in the stairwell.
Did you examine her?
Just briefly, there was no pulse, and by the way the body was lying, it looked like her neck was broken.
Were any of the women about?
Only Brian. She was standing over the body.
We'll get the women back into their cells immediately.
It's being done right now.
Good. I don't want anyone to touch the body till the police arrive.
All right, Miss Davidson.
Oh, typical of the bloody screws to lock us in and not tell us why.
Maybe Ken's got back in and they've locked you up for your own protection.
At least we're safe in here.
Come on, ladies. Hey, Mrs. Jackson, what's going on?
You'll be told.
What's going on? What's going on?
Oh, don't, Bert. I want to stay in here. I don't want to get thrown in the ground.
What's going on?
You bitch! Who's she talking to?
Hey, Judy, what's up?
Sharon's dead! Crying. Oh, she's strung herself up. What's going on? Gilmore's done herself in. Oh, good riddance.
Hey, Judy, how did it happen?
As if you didn't know, you bitch! You killed her!
Is everybody locked up?
Yes, Mrs. Davidson.
Or who's standing guard over the body?
Mr. Stewart. It's handy to have at a time like this, so cool and efficient.
I expect all my staff to be like that, Miss Bennett.
Mrs. Davidson.
Yes.
Detective Sergeant Tegan, Constable Stevens. I'd like to see the body before it's moved.
Miss Bennett will show you the way.
This way, gentlemen.
Take it away. The sooner I get the pathologist report, the better.
Nasty business.
Yeah, I'll get a detailed statement from both of you later. I'm more interested in the immediate circumstances of Gilmore's death. Now, you were first on the scene, Mr. Stewart.
With Miss Bennett, yeah.
We were returning from H Block when we found the body. Bryant was standing over it.
Bryant, right. Then?
Well, there was very little we could do except report the discovery and then put emergency procedures into action. Most regrettable accident, but that's the way it goes.
So, in your opinion, it was an accident?
Yeah, of course.
In my opinion, she was pushed down those stairs. She was very unpopular with the other women.
Anybody with a particular grudge against her?
Smith and Vincent. And they're both in here for violent crimes.
What about Bryant?
No, she's not the violent type.
Well, whether she is or not, everything has to be taken into account at this stage. Look, I'll speak to Bryant first. Will you bring it to me in the governor's office?
Right, but what about Smith and Vincent?
Everybody will be questioned in the course of this investigation.
I was heading for the toilets, and I saw something on the stairs. It was Sharon.
What happened then, Miss Bryant?
Well, I went up to her and I knelt down and felt for her pulse. But I knew she was dead.
How did you know it?
Well, she was lying funny, her neck.
Was there anyone else on the stairs?
You don't think B was going to hang around and wait to get caught, do you?
Miss Gilmore was in on a drugs charge. Now, prisoners have ways of getting supplies inside. Isn't it possible that while under the influence of illicit drugs, Miss Gilmore fell accidentally to her death?
That is highly unlikely, Sergeant.
Why is that?
The only drugs available to the women are those prescribed by the medical staff. Gilmore was not receiving medication.
What was your relationship with the deceased?
Sharon. Well, we were very close.
I see from your file that you committed a crime to be with Miss Gilmore in Wentworth. You must have been extremely close to go to such lengths.
We were lovers. Surely that's on your file, too.
Quite. And so, being so close, you must have known how she was feeling at the time. Whether she was depressed enough to take her own life.
Don't give me that. Sharon wasn't suicidal. She was murdered, I know that.
So she was in high spirits the last time you saw her?
Not exactly.
No? Why not?
Well, we'd had this argument, you see, about what she'd done to P. I told her.
So, during the course of this relationship, you had violent quarrels.
All lovers
And during
quarrel.
one of these quarrels, you pushed her down the stairs.
Mr. David Austin to see Miss Kerry Vincent.
All visits are temporarily suspended.
But this is very important. It's business.
No exceptions.
It's a police car, isn't it? That ambulance. That have anything to do with it?
I couldn't say.
You mean you won't say? Look, I know you're only doing your job, my friend, and I'm trying to do mine. But the police car and the ambulance, no visitors. Must mean something. Well, if you won't tell me, I'll find out for myself.
The last time I saw Gilmore was in the recreation room about 3 hours ago. She seemed pretty pleased with herself. That's all I know.
Sit down, Miss Vincent. I haven't finished. Do you know anyone who would bear a grudge against the deceased?
Oh, plenty. Practically all of us hated her. She was a chocolate frog for a start.
Chocolate frog?
She sucked up to the screws. Apart from that, she was the meanest little bitch you ever clapped your eyes on, out to get anything and anyone that crossed her.
Did you ever cross her?
Oh, she was looking for people to cross so she could get back at them. I mean, the first day I arrived, she made a pass at me. I knocked her back. She also ruined one of my paintings.
Did you ever retaliate?
Sure. With some well-chosen words about her charming character.
Are you sure you only use words, Miss Vincent?
I didn't bash her, if that's what you mean.
No?
No. You see, I'm not that stupid. Even if I'd wanted to, I wouldn't have laid a finger on Gilmore.
Why not?
Because when I came here, I had to keep sweet. I knew if I didn't, they wouldn't have allowed me to paint.
I see from your file that you were deprived of that privilege this morning as a direct result of Gilmore's actions.
What of it?
Oh, perhaps knowing you had nothing to lose by attacking Gilmore, you used more than words to convince her of your contempt and pushed her down the stairs.
I was nowhere near the stairs. Miss Bennett was confiscating my painting gear.
That's correct.
Then I won't detain you further, Miss Vincent.
Steve, David Austin.
Oh, g'day, mate. What am I going to do for you?
Check out a few facts for me, would you? Something's gone at Wentworth, I don't know what.
Oh, well, can you give me anything to go on?
No visitors, a cop car, and an ambulance. That's all I know.
Oh, that certainly sounds suspicious, but there's no news down here.
Yeah, well, the prison authorities would be hardly feeding the story to the press, would they?
What story?
Kerry Vincent's parole hearing comes up in a couple of days. Now, if, and I only say if, there has been a death at the prison, they'd do anything to implicate her, just to hold up her release.
That's quite an angle. Listen, I think I might get down there right away.
Thanks very much, mate. I knew I could rely on you.
Huh. Thank you, mate. You're a journalist's dream. You've just written the story for me. See ya.
Well, the police didn't waste any time taking your statement.
Well, there really wasn't very much to say.
What do you think happened to Gilmore?
It's obviously an accident. Though the police don't seem to share my opinion.
Well, it must be pretty difficult for them to make out a case either way. On the one hand, it could have been an accident. But after all that hullabaloo in the art class this morning, it seems like a rather convenient accident.
Ah, well, what difference does it make? Gilmore's dead, and we can't change that.
You don't seem very concerned.
Why should I be?
Well, if it wasn't an accident, it means one of the women killed her.
Then the police will catch them.
How are the investigations going?
You could say they're progressing.
Well, what are the arrangements for the rest of the day?
The women are to remain in their cell until the investigation is complete. Birdsworth and Caffin are to serve the evening meal to H Block.
With that pair, I'd better make sure that everything in the kitchen is nailed down.
Something wrong there?
Yes. Smith is the obvious suspect, and the police haven't even bothered to question her.
I suppose they'll get round to it. But knowing Smith, she'll have an alibi, that's for sure.
Well, if Smith didn't push Gilmore down those stairs herself, she got someone to do it for her. One of them did it. Bennett?
Bring Smith to my office, please.
Certainly, Mrs. Davidson. Well, it looks like the police have finally woken up.
If the cops thought you'd bumped off Gilmore, you'd be questioned first up.
Yeah, well, maybe they're saving their best suspect for last.
Well, what have they got on you? Sweet Fanny Adams. You was in the laundry. I'll back you up.
Thanks, Lizzie. That'll impress them.
Lizzie's right. Anyway, how do we know it wasn't an accident? She might have done away with herself.
Yeah, well, maybe she did. You think Vera's going to let a golden opportunity like this slip by?
What do you mean?
She'd do anything to put a rope around my neck, and after what happened this morning with Ken, she must think all her Christmases have come at once.
Well, all you got to do is tell the truth and keep you cool.
Gee, thanks, Lizzie.
Oh. Thought any more about your house?
What's there to think about?
Redecorating it in your own taste?
Forget about it, will you, Lizzie?
I'd paint it lavender with mauve highlights.
Will you two shut up and let me think?
I don't want to know, Lizzie.
God, you two are touchy. At least Bee's got an excuse, but you got a new house, a lovely husband, money, and
Outside, Smith. Tell me, they want to see me about Gilmore. Am I right? You'll find out soon enough. Birdsworth?
I'll go as a witness.
You'll do no such thing. You're serving dinner.
Can I give her a hand, Miss
You're
Bennett?
staying here.
But I don't want to.
Well, don't tell me you're frightened of being alone. Look, what's the matter, love? You've been jumpy all day.
I just don't want to be left by myself, that's all.
Don't worry, I'll be back soon. You won't be alone for long. I reckon the cops have to question all the girls. Get moving, Smith.
According to the record, it's fairly well established that you made threats on Gilmore's life.
Sure, but that's history. Anyhow, everyone threatened her at one time or another.
Quite. You have at least 10 more years to serve. 10 years without male companionship. That's a long time.
Oh, I don't know. All those flash schools are going co-ed. Maybe this joint will be next. A girl can dream.
Mr. Pierce certainly gave you something to dream about, didn't he? I don't know what happened between you two in that store cupboard, but I can guess. I bet he made some fairly tempting suggestions about what you might do to while away the next 10 years. And then to be exposed to all that ridicule and contempt. It must have been pretty humiliating to go through all that and have it all come to nothing. To have your dreams dashed because of Gilmore's spite. You certainly had enough motivation for killing her.
That bitch deserves all she got. But I didn't kill her.
Well, well. We certainly do have a temper, Mrs. Smith. Certainly enough to push someone down the stairs in a fit of rage.
I was in the laundry all the time.
Can you prove it?
There were half a dozen others there. They'll back me up.
Half a dozen women who wouldn't blow the whistle on their boss. Surely you can come up with a better alibi than that.
I'm a crim, Mr. Tegan. I'm meant to know every trick in the book. And don't you think if I killed Gilmore, I would have set up a better alibi?
That just means you haven't got an alibi. I've finished with Smith. For the moment.
I mean, you must know something about who killed Gilmore. Who's the chief suspect?
All the women will be questioned, Lizzie.
Good-o, because I reckon I could tell the cops a thing or two. I reckon the Almighty stepped in. I reckon it was divine indifference that killed Gilmore.
Religion isn't a game, Lizzie. You can't turn it off and on like a tap.
But if you won't tell us what's happening, you can't expect us not to consider all the possibilities.
Now that Captain Barton has found your daughter, I would have thought you had more things to occupy your mind. Brian's first, Lizzie.
Well, they find out who did it yet?
They're still being questioned.
You mean those idiots can't tell who killed Sharon?
I reckon it was divine interruption.
It was Smith!
It was bloody not!
It's possible it was an accident.
Yeah, well, maybe Smith didn't kill her. But it was no accident. And if those cops can't find out who killed Sharon, I will. And when I do...
Bryant's convinced that Gilmore was murdered, and she swears she's going to find out who did it.
And presumably intends to execute justice.
Yes, but I don't think she's rational.
Then she may attempt to carry out her threat. You'd better put her in the isolation block until she calms down.
Oh, don't you think that's a bit harsh?
Well, I do have a duty to the other inmates, and we don't want another death on our hands.
Yes, Mrs. Davidson.
Afternoon. Pathology report on Gilmore.
Death resulted from broken neck or injuries sustained consistent with a heavy fall.
Yeah, we're treating it as an accident.
But I understood from the way you questioned the women, you thought it was murder.
Well, death occurred in suspicious circumstances, but unfortunately all the evidence is circumstantial and hearsay.
But there was obvious motivation.
I mean, Bryant admits having words with Gilmore, but killer? I doubt it.
Well, what about Smith and Vincent?
Well, I don't think Vincent's capable of premeditated murder. Anyway, Miss Bennett confirms the statement.
Which leaves us with Smith.
Yeah, well, she's far too intelligent not to have thought up a better alibi than being in the laundry.
Well, that's exactly what she wanted you to think.
Right, but without further evidence, there's nothing to justify a charge.
Well, what is your conclusion?
Well, without evidence to the contrary, I'm forced to concede it was an accident.
Well, that's a relief in some ways.
Look, I won't be dropping the case straight away. The inquest won't be for a couple of weeks, so if anything further comes to light...
I shall let you know. Thank you very much, Sergeant. Miss Bennett will show you to reception. Miss Bennett, would you make sure the prison routine gets back to normal?
Yes, Mrs. Davidson. And what about the press? They're standing outside the front gates like vultures. I'm sure they don't think that Gilmore's death was an accident.
I'll make a statement on my way out.
Must you?
A police statement. It's better to satisfy their curiosity. Otherwise, they just make it up as they go along. Mrs. Davidson? Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Steve Gallagher, Clarion. Would you care to comment?
Detective Sergeant Teagan, I have just completed my investigation into the death of Sharon Gilmore.
How did she die?
Death resulted from a broken neck sustained in an accidental fall. I'm satisfied there are no suspicious circumstances.
You were inside Whitworth Prison for quite some time.
Yes, I took statements from all the women.
Was there any particular suspect?
I repeat, I'm satisfied there are no suspicious circumstances.
Was Kerry Vincent interrogated?
I repeat, I took statements from all the women. Good day, Mr. Gallagher.
Well, looks like we have to make up our own story.
Police finished yet?
They've dismissed it as an accident. In my book, it's gross inefficiency on Mr. Tegan's part. They haven't had time to come up
Vera, they had enough time to sift through what little evidence they had. I think the conclusion's quite reasonable.
Rubbish. It was murder.
Well, they need proof, and all the officers say they saw nothing. They wouldn't be protecting anyone. Let's now patrol isolation, if you like. And don't get yourself all upset about this. Look, Gilmer was a scum of the earth. Who cares how she died?
Shut up, Smith! Aye! Will you stop that at once? What's the verdict? It was an accident. Now stop that racket. You little ripper! Shut up!
That must have really ruined your day, Vera.
Any more of that and you'll end up in solitary for a few days.
I heard what you said to be. If we've all been cleared, why are we still locked up?
You'll be let out in the morning.
Another 12 hours with nothing to do.
Well, perhaps you'd like some paint materials to help you while away the time.
Can I? I mean, just a piece of paper.
No!
Well?
Everything okay?
Oh, yeah, couldn't be better. Listen, why am I in here? I didn't kill Sharon.
That's not the reason, Lassie.
Oh, I know. I'm in here because I wanted to find out the truth.
The police have already done that. It was an accident.
Don't you give me that. Somebody in here killed Sharon, and I'm going to prove it.
Well, good luck to you. You won't get any help, though. Gilmore's death was an accident, and that's official.
It's not true. No, it's not true. No!
Have you read it?
I'm just about to. One inmate, Kerry Vincent, was interrogated for some time. Vincent is due for parole, and it is believed that the prison authorities are against it. The death of Sharon Gilmore has provided an opportunity to make a scapegoat out of Vincent and thus stop her parole.
It's a pack of lies.
Yes, but those lame brains that believe it, I better censor it.
No, leave the paper as it is. No matter what precautions we take, the women have ways of finding out. If we censor it, they'll be convinced the allegation is true.
Yeah, you're right, of course. Making mountains out of molehills is their favorite hobby.
Quite. Wendy, send Mr. Reed to my office as soon as he arrives, please.
Yes, Mrs. Davidson.
Thank you.
Hello, lovely day, isn't it, Mr. Stewart?
What do you want?
Anything in there about us and Gilmore?
Have a look for yourself, and don't forget to return that to the recreation room either.
Extra, extra! Read all about it!
Hey, read all about what?
Look. Funny them letting a hot potato like that through. I thought they would have taken the scissors to that.
Yeah.
Do you reckon it's true?
Oh, my.
What's the matter, love?
David bloody Austin.
What?
David Austin, and it has to be him. He fed that story to the press.
I don't know what you're getting excited about. I thought you'd be jumping for joy.
Why?
Good publicity for your parole.
You got it the wrong way round, Lizzie. It's bad. My parole hearing's tomorrow, right? The parole board will reckon I'm a troublemaker for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this time he's gone too far. I'll never get that parole now.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, I am rather concerned about Vincent. Have you seen today's papers?
Yes, I have. How on earth could they have made a connection between Sharon Gilmore's death and Carrie's parole?
David Austin could.
David Austin, of course. Anything you can do about it?
Yes, I am recommending that she is not ready for parole.
If Austin is responsible for the article, you'd be punishing Carrie by not recommending her parole.
Now, just hear me out. I've had my doubts about Austin since he first accused Miss Bennett of blackmail. Today's article simply confirmed my belief that he is a liar and an opportunist. If Vincent is paroled, she will be at his mercy. He will just manipulate her to feather his own nest.
Austin is a businessman. She will have to get used to that if she is to succeed as an artist.
Well, I don't think she's ready for it, so I'm not recommending her parole.
Then why discuss this with me? You've quite obviously made up your mind.
You have a right to know my decision. You would have been her parole officer.
Yes, and as her parole officer, I've spent a lot of time locating a suitable studio flat. I was going to sign the lease today.
Well, I'm sorry you've had so much trouble, but I'm sure you will agree that Vincent's welfare is far more important.
Yes, but I can't agree with your methods. However, there's very little I can say about that.
A reception. Could you contact the department courier, please? I have a letter for Mr. Douglas. Yes, it is very important.
Kerry reckons that bloke Austin's put a moz on a parole for sure.
Well, happy days are here again. Lizzie, didn't anyone ever tell you that no news is good news?
Just filling you in. Can I give you a hand, love?
No, I can do it by myself, all right.
Oh, come on, love. You can tell your old Lizzie what's troubling you.
Look, mind your own business, Lizzie. Nothing's wrong with me. So just get lost, will you?
No helping some people.
I'll leave her alone. Whatever it is that's eaten her, she'll tell us when she's good and ready. How about you? Have you had any news about that daughter of yours yet?
How could I? I was locked up all day.
Well, you were in Davo's office just before they found Sharon's body, and you never did tell us what she said. Come on, what did Davo want?
It wasn't Mrs. Davidson. It was Captain Barton. He reckons he's found Marcia.
You mean to say you've known that since yesterday and you've never breathed a word? You old devil.
I had to think about it.
Lizzie, Mr. Reed wants to see you.
Oh, beauty! Can I go with her, Mrs. Jackson? No! Well, I want to go to the loo.
Hey, what's going on?
I wish I knew. 1 minute Doreen can't stand Lizzie, and the next minute she's sticking to her as if her life depended on it.
And Captain Barton passed this on to me. It's the information on Marcia. Well?
Sounds like it might be her.
Well, Captain Barton's arranged for her to come and visit, but she lives in Echuca. That's a fairly long journey. And her financial situation isn't too good.
If she thinks she's going to worm a fare out of me, she's making a big mistake.
No, the welfare department can organize a travel voucher for her, but they'd need to be reasonably certain that she is your daughter.
Well, how would I know if she's my daughter or she isn't? Did she send a photo or anything?
No, she didn't.
Not game to show her face.
But you are sure that she is your daughter, aren't you?
No. Probably one of those cranks. Plenty of them about nowadays, trying to take advantage of lonely old women.
Lizzie, if you're feeling guilty about what happened all those years ago, there is still time to make up for it, you know.
Poor little bugger. She probably hates me. Can't say I'd blame her if she did.
Now, do you think that she'd go to all this trouble if she hated you?
Yeah. Because she'd be just like my brother Angus. He was dying and he sent for me. And do you know why? So that he could have a go at me and tell me that he'd cut me out of his will.
Lizzie, think about having her come to visit me.
Yeah. I'll think about it.
You seem in a bit of a hurry, Dorian.
Yeah, I've got to get back to the laundry.
Have you thought any more about selling the house?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot. But I've got to talk to Kevin, you know, him being my
The house
husband.
is yours, it's not Kev's.
Yeah, I know that. But Kevin's got to know just the same.
You know, you seem pretty keen on protecting Kev's interests. But you can't protect yours.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you're inside and he can't possibly help you, can he? Time's running out, Dorian. No, I don't want to hurt you. But if you don't make up your mind pretty shortly about selling that house, I just might have to use a wee bit of persuasion.
There's something I can do for you, mate.
Who, Kevin Burns?
Yeah, that's right.
Just got married to, Doreen Anderson.
Yep. She's Doreen Burns now.
She owns a house in Patterson Street, Kew.
Well, what's that to you?
Look, she's been offered pretty good money for that house, and it's not going to be open for much longer, you know what I mean?
Oh, well, that's good, because she's not selling.
Look, I'm sure you could persuade her to change her mind, because I don't want to get robbed.
Now, you listen to me. I don't know what business it is of yours, but Doreen's definitely not selling that house, and that's that.
It's your funeral.
No, it's not. But it bloody might be yours if you come to heavy with me again, so just rack off, will you?
Like I said, mate. It's your funeral, okay?
Mr. Douglas from the department, Mrs. Davidson.
Hello, Erica.
Good morning, Ted. Do sit down.
Thank you. Right. Sorry to arrive unannounced. I received your letter concerning Vincent's parole.
Yes.
I'd like you to reconsider.
Well, it would be going against my principles. My conviction is that she is not ready for parole.
Yes. What do you see as her main problems?
Well, David Austin is one of them,
Oh, yes, Mr. Austin, a real troublemaker.
to say the least. He would use Vincent's parole to further his own interests.
I'm sure you're right.
Well, surely we can use that as justification for refusing parole, for her own protection.
We could make recommendation on the condition that she disassociates herself from Austin.
Yes, that's some sort of compromise.
But you're not entirely satisfied?
No. Vincent has a history of instability. I feel the pressures of the art world may reawaken that instability.
Well, she'll have to face that world sometime, Erica. We can only do so much. And it would be diplomatic to parole her now.
To save the department embarrassment?
Well, yes.
Well, I'm not happy about recommending her parole.
Look, as a friend, I sympathize. However, I'm afraid this is an order.
I thought it would be.
Anyway, should we say from Austin?
Yes, well, I'll show you out.
But you must be crazy. I mean, that story in the paper really put the gong on my chances of parole.
You don't seem to understand.
Oh.
Because of that article, you've got public opinion on your side.
Yeah, but the public's not the parole board, are they?
No, but the welfare department is extremely sensitive to criticism. Listen, if you're not paroled, there'll be a public outcry saying that you really were set up over Gilmore's death, and that's the last sort of publicity that department wants.
I hadn't thought of it like that.
Listen, your parole is a certainty.
But if I get...
No, not if. When?
When I get my parole. I mean, just getting out of here scares me, but the art world, I mean, all those people and their crazy words saying my painting's got, what is it? Deep symbolism or something. They make me feel like a moron. I mean, I just don't think I can hack it.
Listen, it's my job to talk to those sort of people. You just paint your little heart out.
That's all I want to do. I don't know, sometimes I just stare at my work thinking it's crap. I mean, maybe it's just no good.
I've told you dozens of times, you're extremely talented. Look, there's a group of people out there that think you're the hottest thing since Brett Whiteley. It's true.
You wouldn't be saying that to make me feel good, would you?
Now, you listen here. I've just pre-sold 6 of your paintings for $1,000 each.
Oh, that's terrific. That's fantastic. Yeah, but when do they have to be finished?
Oh, say 6 weeks after you get out of here.
6 weeks? You're kidding? I can't do that. I'll never be able to. I can't.
Of course you can. All you have to do is work out a routine, apply some discipline. You can do it on your head.
No, I don't know. I mean, I've never worked to a deadline before.
Mr. Reed reckons Marcia wants to see me. I told him I'd think about it.
Gorge, you're contrary, Lizzie. You haven't said it for 30 years and you'll think about it.
Yeah, but I don't reckon it is Marcia. And if she travels to Melbourne by train, the department have to pay a fare because she's skint.
Well, so what? It's not going to cost you anything.
Nah, but if I tell them it isn't my daughter, I'm going to get lumbered with the bill. False pretensions. I reckon it's somebody looking for a free ride.
Okay, so it's someone looking for a free ride. It's probably some poor old sod down in her luck. Give her a free trip to Melbourne. Have a visitor. Not going to cost you anything, and you'll probably be doing someone a favour.
I'll think about it.
Mr. Austin, don't sign out yet, please. The governor would like to see you. Yes, sure. Mr. Stewart, could you take over, please?
Yes.
This way, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I've got to see my wife, Doreen Burns.
Look, prison regulations permit only one visit a week. Addison's already had her.
Yeah, I know all that, but look, this is really important. I mean, I'm sure if I saw Mrs. David...
Okay, if you just give me the details.
Well, it's about her house. It was left to her by her mother about the end of
Well,
last
look,
year.
hang on a second. Wait a minute. Mrs. Davidson's rather busy at the moment. But I might be able to stretch a point, seeing as how you're just newlywed and all. So if you just hang on here a second, I'll get an officer to fetch your wife.
Well, thanks. Thanks very much.
From the time you met Vincent and encouraged her work, it was assumed by the department that you were acting in her best interests.
I am acting in her best interests. I want to see her paroled.
And yet you launched into a smear campaign to discredit the prison service and its officers.
Yes, well, I'm sorry if I trod on any toes, but I'm sure you'll understand my point of view. Carrie deserved parole years ago. She didn't seem like getting it, so I was obliged to use somewhat devious means to make sure that she did get it.
And I'm sure you'll use somewhat devious means to make Vincent's parole profitable to you.
My sole concern is developing Carrie's talent, something which can't be done while she's still here in prison. Your officers make quite sure of that.
Then I'm sure you'll be happy to learn that I am recommending her parole.
It's very generous of you, Mrs. Davidson.
On the condition that she has no further contact with you.
But I'm her agent. She needs an agent, believe me.
Then she will find another agent.
But that's not the same thing at all. We have a rapport, something she wouldn't have with anyone else. She needs someone to help her, to support her, to encourage her, to give her...
all the encouragement and support she needs from her parole officer.
I see. Yes, you've made up your mind, haven't you?
And I hope you have made up your mind not to jeopardize her parole by making contact with her when she is released.
Yes, naturally. There are a number of business matters we have to tie up,
Then
so
we
I
can
think...
do that now. Would you take Mr. Austin back to the interview room and arrange for an officer to fetch Vincent?
Yes, Mrs. Davidson.
And make the interview no longer than 10 minutes. I'm sure that will give you sufficient time to terminate your business agreement.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Davidson.
Hi. Oh, geez, it's good to see you. What about a kiss then?
Mrs. Jackson?
Look, prison regulations expressly forbid physical contact.
It is their honeymoon, Mr. Stewart.
I know.
What's the matter, Dor?
Nothing. Look, just keep walking, because I want to talk to you about something.
Thought you were here to talk business, Mr. Burns.
Yeah, well, I am. Yeah. Look, Dor, it's about selling your mother's house.
Well, do you think it's a good idea?
No way. You know, I want us to start married life right, and, well, that means owning our own home.
Yeah, but we could buy another one because they offered me $100,000.
No, Dor, please, we've talked about this before, you know.
Yeah, but you said you were coming here to talk to me about selling the house.
Yeah, well, that's because some bludge has been heavying me to put the hard word on you to sell.
Who was it?
I don't know, just some thug, but, well, I thought I'd better warn you, because he might come round here.
Yeah, well, you better do something, otherwise he might have another go at you.
There's another go at me, I'll knock his block off.
Time's up, Addison.
He's hit me, Kevin.
What did you say? What did you say?
Oh, nothing. Look, just look after yourself, okay?
Don't you worry about me. But remember, we're not going to sell the house, okay? Promise?
Yeah, promise.
Well, the good news is that Mrs. Davidson has recommended your parole.
Well, that's fantastic news.
Yes, well, there are a few strings attached. You are to have no contact with me at all.
But why?
Well, it seems to be some perverse wish of the governor's.
Yes, look, just stick to business matters, please, Mr. Austin.
Yes, if I must. Now, the paintings. I'll contact the buyer. He'll be in touch with you and pay you direct.
Look, I don't think I can do them now. I mean, you promised you'd be around to help me.
Now, listen, Carrie, sweetheart. I'd be by your side if I possibly could, but if I don't butt out of your life now, your parole goes straight out the window.
Yeah, I know that, but I still can't do the paintings. I mean, not in that time, not without you.
Look, even though I'm not there in person, I'll be thinking about you. Caring about...
I guess it's just mind over matter, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So no more of this nonsense. You can do those paintings even though I'm not there.
I'll do them for you.
Thank you. I thought you might.
What's the joke?
Oh, it's...
All right, time's up, Mr. Austin.
Miss Vincent, it's been a pleasure knowing you.
And you. And thanks. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Do you ever miss Pentridge?
Sometimes. You sound as if you can't wait to get back.
Well, quite frankly, it'd be a pleasure. You go by the book down there, and that's something that I like.
Well, we go pretty much by the book here.
As far as security is concerned, I'll give you an example. Young Burns, he visited his wife today, and Mrs. Jackson allowed physical contact.
Well, that's breaking the rules, I'll admit, but that appears pretty harmless.
Maybe. There's sound reasoning behind that ruling. Physical contact's the easiest way of passing contraband. Still, I suppose Anderson was searched when she came in.
Something worrying you?
Did you search Anderson after a visit today?
No. Should I have?
Well, apparently you allowed physical contact. Burns could have passed something on to Doreen.
Well, I'd be very surprised. Doreen's always been pretty trustworthy.
Never hurts to check that, does it?
Hi!
Just a
What do
minute,
you mean,
Anderson.
barging in here as they own the place?
Turn out your betting.
Oh,
These belong to you.
I've never seen them before, Mr. Fletcher.
Wish they was mine.
I think we better have a talk to the governor, don't you?
Yeah, well, they're not mine, and I don't know where they came from, but I didn't put them there, honest, Mr. Fletcher.
Come on, talk to the governor. Come on.
Oh.
Something's up. What you mean? Well, she's been acting strange all day, right? And now she's smuggling booze. I don't believe it. I reckon someone set her up. And I'd like to know who.
Excuse me, Mrs. Davidson.
What on earth happened to you?
I just caught her with these.
Where did you find them?
In her pillowcase.
Is that true, Anderson?
Yes, Mrs. Davidson, but I didn't put them there.
Burns must have passed them to her. He was visiting today, and Mrs. Jackson allowed physical contact.
No, he didn't, honest. He never gave me anything.
Well, how can you deny it? You had the opportunity to receive them, and they were found in your dormitory.
I know, but I didn't put them there. You've got to believe me.
Visits from your husband are a privilege, not a right. You have abused that privilege and taken advantage of an officer's kindness.
I didn't take any.
Quiet, Anderson. You will spend 2 days in solitary confinement. Perhaps that will teach you.
No. Oh, please, Mrs. Davidson. I'd do anything else. Just don't leave me on my own.
That'll be enough, Anderson. Take her to solitary, Mr. Fletcher.
Oh, Mrs. Davidson, please.
Come on, Anderson.
Hello, Leonard. David Austin.
Oh, hello, David. What can I do for you?
It's about the Vincent girls' paintings, the 6 you commissioned. Listen, there's been a slight hitch.
Don't tell me your crim girlfriend's turned down the offer.
She's not my girlfriend, Leonard.
Oh, but she thinks she is, doesn't she?
Yes. And if it keeps her sweet, she can think what she likes. Anyway, about the paintings, she's agreed to do them. But listen, you'll have to collect them.
Oh, come on, love. You're her agent.
Yes, but there's been a bit of a foul-up with her parole. I'm not meant to make contact with her. Otherwise, she'll be back inside.
Oh, dear, that is bad news, isn't it, eh? No more paintings, no more commissions.
That's right. So would you mind collecting them?
I think I can manage it. Who do I pay?
It was $1,200 a picture, 6, that's 7,200. Listen, give Vincent 6,000, I'll have the rest.
Oh, you're a hard man, David. All that commission from a poor little prisoner.
Yes, well, let's just keep that as our own personal little secret, shall we?
Oh, my lips are sealed.
Vincent will let you know when the paintings are finished.
Right you are. Cheerio.
Cheerio.
Fancy you being silly enough to let your hubby pass you that grog, eh?
He didn't.
I know. They were a wee present from me. You see, I had to get some excuse to see you alone. We've got important business matters to discuss, Doreen. Don't you think it's about time you made up your mind to sell that house, hmm? There's no rush, of course. Tomorrow will do fine. But if you haven't made up your mind to sell by then, I might just have to give you a little push. The same as I did with Gilmore.